Welcome back to the Artie Lange Show. I'm excited to have my next guest here. He's a guy I've been working with for the last 6 years on and off, and I'm proud to say he's become a good friend of mine. Real interesting cat, as they say in jazz. He's my co-author of both of my books. My first one, Too Fat to Fish, which, as you know, was #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list. And that was Anthony's hard work, believe me, was the spine of that. And now he helped me with this next one, Crash and Burn, that comes out Tuesday. But he's a real interesting guy. He did biographies for Tommy Lee, and he lived with Tommy Lee for a period of time. He did Slash's book.
I read that.
Slash's book is so great.
Love it.
A great job.
Yeah.
And that was real successful, too. And he's done books with a bunch of people, and he just wrapped up. He was writing a book with me and Courtney Love at the same time.
Yep.
Which makes him an extraordinary human being. I call him the Wolf, like Harvey Keitel, the cleanup guy in Pulp
Reservoir
Fiction.
Dogs, right?
Please welcome Anthony Bozza.
Thank you, sir.
What's up, man?
Nothing, man.
How you
Being
doing?
called the Wolf is the greatest compliment
really
anyone
do-
could ever give me.
I really do. For the people you've worked with, especially like me and all my craziness, and then you're with Courtney Love. You're like the guy they call, listen, man, we got a mess and you need to clean it up.
Yeah. Well, I remember when we saw Springsteen in Paris.
Right.
And met little Steven Van Zandt with
Right,
you.
right. That's right. Yeah,
And you said, Artie's introducing me, and he said, he did Tommy Lee, he did Slash, he's doing me, and you know what he's doing next? Courtney Love. And Steven goes, makes sense. Out of the frying pan into the fucking fire.
You can't curse. You can't. That's right. Don't worry about it.
Sorry.
Yeah, but it's odd. You can curse during the commercials. You can't curse. But yeah, he was funny back. He had a great sense of humor. We walked backstage. I've met him a couple of times. I think I did some charity work for him, so he kind of remembers me a little bit. And he's always nice enough to acknowledge my existence when I see him, little Steven. And we're in Paris, and he knows I'm a very Jersey guy. So we see him backstage. The first thing he said to me was, "What, were you just in a neighborhood?" He talks exactly like Silvio.
He is.
On The Sopranos. That's how he goes, "Well, you're in the neighborhood."
Yeah.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
How about that show in Paris? He did it over 4 hours.
One of the greatest things I've ever seen.
Yeah,
ever.
he's better in Paris almost. And I hate saying that. Danny, you were there. Do you think, was he as good as he ever was anywhere there? I mean, I hate saying, he opened up with Ties That Bind, which is not a commercial song to open up with.
It was, I saw him one of the last shows. He was at a small place at the Uptown Theater in Chicago, which is 3,000 seats.
That's
It was right
unbelievable.
before Hungry Heart hit.
Wow.
So Paris reminded me of that.
Is that the first time you saw him was in the late 70s?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was like 15 or 16 years old.
That's cool.
Wow. That's
cool.
amazing,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. So
It was incredible, and also no air conditioning.
Oh my God! And the French do stink anyway.
Yes,
They
to
were
high
all
heaven.
very stinky.
Yeah.
No, but we were drenched, and of course, the trip took a surreal change.
Yeah.
I mean, I walked around Paris for 3 hours trying to get a cab until I finally got a cab because Nils Lofgren, who's become a good friend of mine, invited me back to the after party for the show on the Champs-Élysées. That's Champs-Élysées. That's a street.
At Le Quatre Saisons.
You know, yeah, right. The Four Seasons on the Champs-Élysées. So I go there, and it's like this intimate thing, and I saw Springsteen again, and I spoke with him a little bit, and it was it was just a crazy night. And then I saw Bruce, and this is something that only could happen to Artie Lange in the 24-hour period. I saw Bruce Springsteen, who was nice enough to call me up when I got out of rehab and talk to me for an hour and a half and help save my life, like a hero calling me and talking to me. Really seemed like he was concerned. And at the time, I was battling, heroin. And I told him, well, hopefully I get to talk again under better circumstances. And here we were in Paris. I'd been clean for a year. And I said to him, Bruce, I beat it. I beat heroin. I'm clean and sober. And he said, that's amazing, man. He gave me a big hug, and he said, much good fortune to you. And I said, thank you. And then 20 hours later, I was in a Paris jail for public drunkenness.
Yep.
and taking a swing at a cop. And I'm like, you hear his music, he knows about people who can't keep promise.
Yeah.
Again, I'm disappointing. Just when you thought you could not be disappointed anymore, he disappoints you in spades. Yeah, so, crazy times. But now, you live with Tommy Lee for how long?
9 months.
Now, what was that like? Just describe that like a daily sort of situation. What would happen?
Well, okay. I realized I was, was in Oz, like
Right.
at when.
And where does he live? Malibu or something? Like
At that point, he lived in Malibu, where he lived with Pam Anderson. You know, if
that same
anyone-
house.
the same house that's on Cribs. You can
Right,
probably
right.
still see
I
it
know
on
she's a
YouTube.
Malibu person, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So you're in Malibu living with Tommy Lee
Yep,
to write a
and-
book.
And he's single. He'd been engaged for 2.5 years to Prince's
Okay, wait.
ex-wife.
Okay, this is great.
Yeah.
So he just broke up with a girl.
Oh, yeah.
So now let's add to the list.
Yeah.
Anthony's in
amazing.
Malibu at Tommy Lee's house, and Tommy Lee is now just newly single.
As was I.
As for you. Oh my God! If you are not like Ralph Cramden, get ready to hit the golf ball, tee it up. Hello, bull. Talk about a nice setup. All right,
Yeah.
so then what happens? Does he? So what happens? Does he go? Hey, we're both single. Should I make a couple of calls?
It got like this. He would not want to answer certain questions unless I did shots of Jack Daniels.
Oh, okay.
This was happening at 11 in the morning.
Right.
So I just never left, because I couldn't drive the car that I had rented to my rented apartment out of there.
And you had a guest room, I assume, your own bathroom set up like that?
Yeah, I was in the other wing, and he was like, dude, why are you even staying anywhere? Just stay here. I haven't had a fucking...
Yeah.
He's
when you
like,
do
I
it,
haven't had a
Tom-
buddy live with me in like quite some time.
Right.
And so that's what happened.
So he was interested. So like a single guy, like I need a partner here. I need
like a homie.
I
And
need a
then-
guy to ride sidecar.
Did he make you shower in the pool shower like Artie does at his house in New Jersey?
Well, Tommy had a saltwater pool, so that was the rain closet, which is what he calls a shower.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why does he do
That was
that? He's not
bathing.
English, is he?
No.
That's him just trying to be cultured or something. He calls it a rain closet.
Yeah.
That's a little much.
I know.
That's a little self-indulgent.
Yeah.
But
It's a little
so,
80s, but
so
it-
now what happens? Are there parties like every night or?
It was okay. Well, when that first happened, we went to the Playboy Mansion to the Midsummer Night's Dream party.
Okay, now
it
wait.
was the
Okay,
first.
I've actually been to that event.
Yeah.
And that's
I think-
extraordinary.
Yeah, we have a great Playboy Mansion story.
Yeah.
In Crash and Burn.
Crash and Burn,
everybody.
I have a Playboy. I performed there one night. I did stand up at a private party.
So this was the first time though that Tommy had ever been to the Playboy Mansion as a single man,
Oh my God.
and it was a lot like throwing, filet mignon into a piranha
Sure.
tank. It was. I mean, there were literally girls like stepping on other girls with their stilettos just to get near him.
Oh my God.
And it was so last minute. He was just like, "Hey man, let's go," and we were the only guys not in pajamas.
He casually says, "Hey man, what the hell? Let's go have the greatest night you're ever gonna have in your life."
Pretty much. He was like, man, I don't really like to go into Hollywood that much, but I got a limo. Let's just do this. Within my first week and a half of being there, so I'm just saying, yes,
Well,
yes, Mr. Lee.
It's
Yeah.
funny. It's
Whatever.
funny. Like when I first saw the video of him and Pam Anderson on the yacht, the infamous video.
Oh, yeah.
People say, "What's your-"
Honk, honk.
Yeah, exactly. People say, "What are your thoughts on that?" I go, "It's got my best weekend beat." My best weekend involves the Knicks covering and me not throwing up the next day. I mean, yeah. So you're at the Midsummer Nights,
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where it started. I think the most surreal moment, though, was
I've been to that party, and I'll tell you what. I saw like lowly assistants for third-rate agents getting sex, oral sex. I mean, so that's what Tommy Lee you're talking about. Forget it.
it was. He literally was surrounded
Right.
by girls.
So now what happens?
killing
How does
each
he?
other.
How does he? What does he do? Like he picks one. What happens? He sort of
Filled a car and went back home.
You filled the car with girls, and you went back to the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I'm getting a twinge from this story. So now it's you and him.
Pretty much. He
And
had
how many
no
girls?
Assistant. He was not in Motley Crue. It was.
And how many girls?
Car full. It's 6, 7.
And it's him picking them, so there's no dogs.
Well, yeah, no,
Right.
no. I mean,
It's up
he had
to
a
his
very
standards.
large bed and bedroom. And,
Yeah.
And I just made sure nobody broke stuff.
Right. So now, is it safe to say in the 9 months you sort of, you were, you benefited from this as well?
Sure. Yeah. There's only so much one rock star.
That's extraordinary.
Albeit Tommy Lee can do
That's
it,
extraordinary. So that was the first day and night you were there?
No, that was within the first week. Well,
Within
I
the
showed
first
up
week.
and he didn't show up for 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
because he was
That's
kind
very
of off.
That's
with-
very rock star.
Yeah, and I just kept kind of calling, and then finally the first day I was there, I came up at 11. It was very professional, and he
Yeah.
had all these ideas, and he was not even paying attention to me at all, and just kind of looking around. And then I had this crazy idea on the plane ride out there that, since his member is also famous, thanks to the
Right.
video you referenced
Right.
in its own right, that maybe that should be a character. Now, I didn't really know how to present this to him. So finally, when he really was, was kind of looking around and whatever, and I just said, "Hey, man, I think that your penis should talk." And he looked at me, and I was like, okay, maybe he's getting the wrong idea here.
He doesn't like that.
He
Right.
might- he's going to probably beat me up. And he picked me up by my pool chair and threw me in the pool and dove in with me and said, "It's going to be a great summer, dude."
Oh God.
He's like, "I love it." And that was kind of it.
Now,
It was off and running.
did he work at all during the night? So he's in that rock star mode where he's just hanging out because there's nothing going on work wise.
He had quit Motley Crue.
Yeah.
And he had nothing else going on, and he had just gotten out of this 2-year engagement. So it was basically, it was me. We were on tour, but we just never left the house.
He was engaged to Prince's ex-wife.
Yeah, Maite.
Maite.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen pictures of her.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened there? He just I was really rooting for those two kids. I'll tell you.
Well, she wanted to have children, and he had two, and that was actually.
It's funny. I was flipping the channel and I saw Pam Anderson on Ellen DeGeneres, and I watched some of it. And she asked him how her kids are doing. And she said one is 7. They're 17 and 14 now. Those kids are growing up. And the one kid surfs in tournaments around the world. And the other kid is a hacky sack player. They're just like beach kids. Think of the total different existence.
Right.
Think of the total different life experience they had the first 17 years of their life than we had.
Yeah, well, and also
There's nowhere to go but down in a way. It's crazy,
Yeah, and they one of them goes to boarding school in Vancouver.
That's
and
a good
I think
idea.
that was a really good thing for him.
Yeah, that's a good idea, yeah.
One's a DJ and writes poetry and stuff. And
Yeah. Oh,
but
God.
yeah, think about that. You're right.
I know.
It's
But
like,
God, I'd love to read some of that.
you're
poetry.
basically like a teenage. You're looking at Charlie Sheen-ness.
Could you imagine-
By the time you're 18.
Here's what I would like. If I could have a perfect radio show heaven, I'd want one of his kids, whichever writes poetry, I'd want to get his poems. And
Brandon.
I'd want to have Blake from Harlem read them. I'm having a lot of angst. I'm having a lot of angst, Joe. I'm a lot of angst. I can't believe. I can't believe. I don't have my own identity. I don't have my identity. I need an identity. Yeah, that's it is. I remember when I lived in LA, we would drive by Pepperdine University sometimes, which is right on the beach in Malibu, and you'd see the volleyball team, and you go those are
How do you do anything?
Right,
How do you go
college
to
is supposed to be
college
when you
then?
struggle a little bit. The rest of your life is when it gets better, and those guys 30 years from now remember college, how great that was.
Or even how do you concentrate? You got the beach and
That's what I mean. I think those kids we mark them as being dumb. They're smarter. They're able to concentrate with all that fun going on. But when you're left out of the fun, it's easy to concentrate. That's how I work. Okay, we're going to come back with more Anthony Bozza. Again, Anthony, the co-author of Crash and Burn, with a foreword by Joe Buck.
Let's talk about that.
It's out this Tuesday. Yeah, back with more.
The Artie Lange Show, weeknights on Audience, only on DirecTV.